Love it. Lo Silva, I appreciate you jumping on today, man.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too, man. It's been entirely too long since we've seen each other in person, but that's sort of the nature of the beast these days, I suppose.
Yeah, man. It's a pain, but at least we got this, and we text each other all the time, so it's all good.
That is the truth. Well, look, man, I want to give a little bit of context for who you are and what you do, and then just jump into stuff. We met many years ago through mutual friends, through events, ultimately. But I met you at a time when you had walked away from a multi-million-dollar company that you built, and then quite literally just started from scratch and built another one to the same size and beyond, which in and of itself is kind of a crazy story, specifically because you just wiped your hands of it and said, you know what, it's not worth the stress. I'm just going to go do it again.
Yeah.
Can you give kind of the short version of that? Because I think that's pretty badass.
Yeah, man. So it wasn't so much on purpose. It was just more that I'm an arrogant asshole. And, like we had a multiple businesses. We were doing a couple $1 million a year, so it wasn't like nuts. But we had a digital business where we like taught people stuff, and an e-commerce business where we did the things we taught. As things were growing, we started to get multiple offices here in the West Coast and all these things. And I kind of took over the digital side of stuff, and they were setting up the more e-com side of stuff. We kind of just inadvertently built two other businesses. We were like, hey, we don't want to do this together anymore. And it started, it's like you break up with a wife or something. I've never had a divorce, but this felt just like that, right? Like, it's happening. And when you get on the conversation, you're like, all right, so how are we going to split the kids, right? Like, what assets are going here and here? He was just like, I kind of feel like I built it all. And I was like, okay, I don't see that, seeing as the employees are here and whatever. And I just knew that this is going to end in some like when I was a younger guy, I, had a crazy girlfriend and she spray painted my car one time. And I was like, this is going to get my car spray painted, but instead of like my car, it's going to be my reputation. And I was like, I said to myself, I was like, you know what, dude, I'm going to give you everything. And and I said this to myself, I'm going to just go start something from scratch. And I hope that you do well, because I'm going to pass you nonetheless. And, we did that. And it sucked, bro, to be super honest with you. Like, it was ballsy at the time because I was like mad, but I should have tried to make a deal because like I didn't have anything. And when you lose your list and you lose everything, you start from scratch. It's not just that, man, you lose your energy. And I was going upstairs to my house because I got rid of the office, and I was just, I had a few other guys still stay with me. They were like, we'll work for free. We know you'll figure it out. And they came in for a few months, and I was going to the bar and drinking with them. I was like, I don't know what to do. You guys want to get lunch? Yeah. And lunch would turn to drinking for a few hours, being like, I don't know what the hell we're going to do, guys. Like, I honestly, at this point, really feel like you shouldn't even be at my house anymore. I'm like not doing a good job here. And they were the ones that were like, dude, figure it out. Call someone, go speak. And I got friends and I speak. So I was like, that's a good idea. I'll just go do that. Started speaking, some people were like, hey, do you do consulting? And at the time I was like, yeah, I do actually, whatever. And we grew that into an agency, and, that kind of got momentum. We built a 7-figure agency in 3 months, and that was cool. And then we started getting a lot of deals coming through, and some people couldn't afford it. And, one of the guys, we had influencers at that time, it was like 7 years ago. People were coming to us with like, hey, I'm an influencer. I don't have any money, but why don't you take half my business? I didn't want to do that because we were charging, a fair amount at the time to just do the work. And I was like, I don't know, man, but let me try it. Right. We tried it with one person and it worked a little. And then we had one day, I remember, we all lived close to each other. So we were at the gym and we looked at the Stripe and we're like, dude, we're at 16 grand. And I was like, what? I'm like, yeah, like this offer just did it's like 7 a.m. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And so I was like, all right, that started scaling, started getting a little bit more confidence. I was like, all right, let's take another influencer on. And then we just kept doing that. And for a while we flipped the model And so rather than doing agency work, I was like, I'll just partner with influencers and scale it. And that worked well. We went from 7 figures to multiple 7 figures to 8 figures off just one brand to building, I ended up building like 7-figure businesses and an 8-figure business. What I didn't know is, once I wanted to build like this portfolio of brands and sell them. And like, I was just trying to think a little bigger, and that just doesn't work with influencers, right? Because they want to get paid. And when you start building e-com stuff, cost of goods, COGS, shipping, fulfillment, new needs, new product supplies, like you want to keep some money in the account so you can build brand, right? And like build something that you can get a multiple for. So I ended up selling a lot of those brands either back to the influencers or to smaller companies that were bigger companies that were trying to take them on. And I kind of went back to, listen, I'm not going to work with influencers anymore. So what we do now is we kind of have 3 phases. We do coaching and consulting for people that just can't afford our services. Then we do services, and we still have this section where if it's the right fit, we will, now we vet it for 6 months. It's kind of like a full date before we get married. For 6 months, we have to go through the initial phase, then there's a profit share phase. Then we decide if it stays in profit share with like some sort of phantom equity, or if I fully come on in as some sort of partner. And we've been doing that for a few years now. It's growing, it's scaling. We again have multiple companies that we're a part of are in the 7 and 8 figures. And I love that better because I get to tinker. I get to play around and stuff. And everyone's like, how come you're doing so many things? To me, I'm running an agency. I just split the way that this agency works differently, right? So if I take a brand on, it's our brand. You would still take them on as an agency. So I'm just changing the way that these deal flows go, and allows me to work with people I actually want to work long-term with, rather than just, sometimes it happens we get caught up in numbers. That definitely happened to me. I did a lot of work past few years just to be hitting the 8-figure number. And I didn't care about, it was vanity. It wasn't, gross profit is vanity, net is sanity. And so we flipped a few things to make it more sane for us. And here we are, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, there were a couple big things there. I think one, like you pointed out, starting over sucks and certainly can feel deflating. I think that what's valuable and one of the reasons I wanted to start there is because what's valuable for people to recognize is that being able to do that is a huge deal. And, when you look at entrepreneurship and building businesses, the people that have done it once, okay. If you've done it twice, more credibility. And if you've done it a bunch of times, it's a totally different beast, right? You figured out a formula to make it work. And so from an agency perspective, when we talk about marketing and figuring out the formulas that work in marketing, I have watched you build companies from, 30, 40, 50 grand a month to several hundred grand a month, or $1 million a month inside of a few months. And I've seen you do it more than a couple times, which is a huge deal. And that's one of the reasons that I wanted to talk, because we get solicited by agencies, multiple times a month to do some sort of partnership deal, because we have a bunch of merchants coming to us, a bunch of businesses that come to us.
Yeah.
But you're the one that I want to talk to because the proof's in the pudding, right?
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah, for sure. And the other is that you have taken equity in deals that you work in. And I like that model a lot, because it shows that you put your money where your mouth is, right? You can talk a big game, but if it's actually, hey, look, we need upside in order to be involved here, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
man, I love doing it when it's the right one. And it's because, dude, like we're in the business of making money, right? Like we don't have an agency, and we will never have an agency that has, 100 clients. And it's not that that's a bad model. It's just not our model, because I can make a lot more transparently focusing on a few people doing it right, than just having a fly-by-night churn. And like everyone you send us, we still work with. Even you just sent us someone recently on email, bro. Like we doubled their email within 60 days. They love us. We're going to do more stuff. Like, we're coming through, and you come through, just real talk. by not doing a million things, right? We do have a division that's like our testing. If you're coming in with something a little more new, where I'm transparent too. I'm like, listen, I'm going to test this. We do a month-to-month engagement. If we want to talk about the partnership, I'm like, all right, then that's a minimum 3 month here, and then 3 months if the first 3 months goes well, and stuff like that. And so we vet people a lot more, just because I also don't need to build a business where like my business is running businesses and I have the agency. So we don't need to be like, all right, 200 people here, blah, blah, blah. I don't want, 100 people staff. Like, I love having a big office and all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, I really noticed that with us, if I can be super honest, which I'm, bluntly honest, and we can take on the right kind of people, we can have success because we stay in the same lane of offers, right? We do a lot of e-commerce and personal based brands that want to scale up, normally through a good course or some sort of high ticket coaching.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. And I want to talk expertise here. And you do have a dope office for anybody that wants to check it out. Los Hustle on Instagram. You can see lots of things in the office, but it looks cool. Hopefully I'll get to check it out in person sometime here soon. So what do you think your expertise is? You mentioned e-com, you mentioned brands. What's your method of scale there? What are you good at?
Honestly, man, we're good at ads at the end of it's not just that. I think we're good at the understanding like the back end and knowing that, everyone now and their mom even has an ads agency, and that's cool. That's great. And you can make a lot of things work, and everyone's got new cars and screenshots, and that's freaking cool. But the reality is that your ads aren't even the most important thing, man. The reality is like everything past the ad or prior to the ad is what matters, right? So your ads don't convert, most likely your offer probably does suck. Okay. And if your ads do convert and you want to try to keep scaling that front end, most likely you can't because your back end is weak, right? Ads are actually like this big, and everyone just goes like, that's the brunt of the conversation because you want to fix something because you don't want to like look at what's actually broken. Right. And so it's easier to point the blame at someone on ads rather than like, well, dude, your offer converts at 0.6, right? And we've got offers that are converting at 3 and 4%. We got to clean this up to get it to convert. Oh, well, I don't want to waste time, energy, and money. I don't know anyone in the world who just makes a sales letter for any kind of offer and goes, here it is. Let's just talk about like a product, like a personal brand, and it's just hitting 3-4%. Those are scale numbers, right? Your offer is going to suck. You're going to have to spend some money on ads, tweak it, and then once it's moving, you're going to have to make the choice of, do I want to break even here? Maybe even take a financial loss so I can get a huge back end, a very big list, and continue to make recurring and build that lifetime value. And if you're not willing to have those conversations, you're going to be stuck. Mostly you can probably hit 100 grand a month. You can probably do that with like some broken shit all over the place. But you can't get into the million a month without having a real process from front to back.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that. So, when you say running ads, is there a platform of preference for you? Do you stick with one? Do you have multiple that you run?
We run two. We run Google and Facebook, and inside of that, obviously Google Shopping, YouTube, all the Googles, and then all the Instagram and Facebook stuff, right? So like just the platforms that sell other things inside of it, we run those. We've tested Snapchat, don't like it, just because we don't do a lot of CPA stuff, and that works more for like CPA stuff, and we don't do native. Just frankly, it's just not a skill set that we've tried to hone into, because we try to hone into that side of the ads, the social ads, so to speak, and then more so like email and back end.
Got it. And just for anybody that doesn't know CPA and Native, can you define those for them?
Yeah, so native advertising is, big native networks like Taboola and Outbrain. Those are going to come from, mostly people that are running CPA offers, which is a lot of really strong affiliates that are just, it's just a war zone out there. People are ripping their stuff, like rechanging their, it's not, we try to deal with, not that those offers are bad. We just try to deal with offers that are a little bit more brand based. And so, for us, what's really worked very well is direct to consumer e-commerce, like brands. We don't do drop shippers. We work with, I'm a part of a venture firm where I analyze companies for them. They have $100 million fund. They look at what works on retail and what's working on Amazon. And then they're like, hey, we've got both of these. What does the direct to consumer look like? I build an analysis for them and see if it's a good job for an acquisition. And if it is, they buy it. I get a percentage for building it and running it. And, those work really, really well. Those are companies that can scale to the $1 million a month is normally the goal on direct to consumer. They have a strong average order value. Their cost per acquisition on, the social platforms is normally, you can get to get started like at 3 times, at scale, you're hitting like a 1.3 to 1.8, depending on the margin. So you can maintain growing that, right? I want to be honest about that and caveat this. A lot of people are like, oh, we're getting 15%, 15 times return on ad spend. We're getting 60% return on ad spend. You're not spending enough money and you're probably showing a retargeting ad, so like anybody can do that. We got a peanut butter company that we got a 27.6% return on ad spend. We're not spending enough money, and so those are the realities of those things. And then again, on the personal brand, we like to work with people that have high ticket offers in the 3,000 to 5,000 range. It's very easy to scale those big because the math makes sense. Where people break in that particular scenario is at scale, you are going to get shittier quality leads, and that's just logical. And then your ascension to move them into email marketing tends to be poor. You're just blasting them with like, buy it, apply, rather than building kind of like what we call like the C4 method, which is content, conversations, community. Then you get conversions. Right. So those are the people that we work with, and we try to stay away from all the things that we're really not good at, nor we want to become experts in. Right. There's a lot of experts on Outbrain and Taboola in those native marketplaces. And that also normally tends to be a different style offer altogether. And we don't run those because those tend to be offers that Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube just hate.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. So let's talk about, we have, Easy Pay Direct does quite a bit from the personal brand perspective. And we kind of lump a bunch of these people into information marketing, because even if you're selling subject matter expertise, there tends to be a brand that's on the front end. And Tony Robbins is sort of the pinnacle of clients. It's like you cannot extract the brand from the information.
Right.
And then all the way down the chain to somebody that just started a course on, how to start a photography business or whatever, right? Their face is still on it. So you've still got the personal brand component. The question that I have is whether it's that or e-com, how does, at what point do you decide, hey, it's time to scale? So somebody comes to you and they're doing $500,000 a year, right? They're doing 40, 50 grand a month in revenue. And they've kind of been plugging away at that number for a year or so. And they come to you and they are running ads. They're just, they're not doing it, or maybe they haven't turned it up. They haven't figured it out. At what point, what do you need to do to get them from there to a couple $100,000 a month, or to really hit the gas?
So the first thing we do is we'll do, an analysis on what assets you have, what's going on where. We'll look at all the conversions on every single side from the front end all the way to the back end. When it comes to e-commerce, we look at lifetime value. We look at subscription revenue. We look at new time revenue. We built cohort analysis to make sure like certain pockets, like you might have multiple VIP people inside of your analytics. We see how you're segmenting. We're seeing if the VIP people are buying a lot, but also are they refunding more? Are they taking advantage? Who is this person? And then we kind of like lay it out like, all right, so these are the people that you have. This is how it's going. We look at the creative. A lot of times when it comes to a good offer, an e-com offer is going to convert well at like a 5% to cold. And if you're getting ads to work, you're probably not spending enough. It might be your creative. You might be a little bit scared to spend, because a lot of times if you want to start spending a little more, obviously your conversions are going to go down. People freak out because they're making good revenue. And so they're like, dude, we're blowing it. Like, we got it. Business is business, man. Like, we have to spend money to make money. It's not a lazy thing. It's not a like anything. It's just life, right? Like, I got a new offer that we just, I bought a brand and we're starting to launch it. It's converting at, 2% on cold. And it's a digital personal brand kind of offer. For one of the guys here, because I'm starting to build faces inside of here instead of publishing more people. And now we've got to scale it. And I know that scaling it's probably like moving forward and trying to get to the $1,000 a day on spend is probably going to get us to not convert. So we're going to have to do a better job with the ads. We're going to have to see what not the front end conversion of that page is, but what's that back end? Are we getting 40% on that, 50% on that order bump? Are we getting 20% on, OTO1 and just managing to that? Those are the reasons that a lot of people don't scale. They'll look at something and go, oh, my front end is doing this. Now you take it over, bro. Let's blow up. And for you to take it over and blow up, the rest of the whole business has to make money, right? It's a business. It's not an offer. And so if you start like, that's why I think we're good at scaling it. I'm really anal about like, I don't do, like I said, right? Like we don't do a lot of CPA stuff. We don't do a lot of dropship stuff because those are offers. Like we try to run people's businesses because then you can go, hey, if you wait till day 43, you're making, this much money. Like we have a client which we own a percentage in, and day 37 is when we break even. It sucks, but we know it. And because of that, that offer is now finally at a point where we can scale to $5,000, $6,000 a day. We're building out a new back end so we can run another offer on the front end of that and add more revenue. So sometimes multiple offers is what we need to scale, multiple pages on e-commerce, multiple bundles while you're also driving to this and that. So it's a whole business thing. And I think when a lot of people come to, even people you send to me, they're like, I got this offer, it's doing this. I'm like, well, it seems like you might be even maxed out here. You might have a little bit more, but what about also adding this? What are you doing on email here? There seems to be nothing else that you're selling in the back end. You have no subscriptions, and trying to be more of like a business analyst nowadays is what really serves us for scale rather than just getting into like, yeah, man, if obviously if the offer works and the ads work, you're going to scale, but everything else is the most important thing for you to make sure that not just are you scaling, but are you making money?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a big thing. I often hear people talk about, agencies talk about how much they're spending on ads. And it's an interesting thing that the longer I'm in business, the more I hear people throw out their revenue numbers, and the revenue numbers don't mean that much
No,
relative to your take home. Actually,
you ain't keeping the revenue, bro.
Right, exactly. Especially if it's all paid, right?
Right.
So if you're driving with paid, the margin matters. And just you said OTO1, which is one-time offer for people that didn't catch that, and an order bump. So selling something in addition, which would be the OTO in that case.
Yeah.
So the question is then, when do you cut your losses? So like you're trying new things. Somebody comes to you and you're like, all right, well, let's try this new thing. How much traffic or how much spend do you have to get to before you're like, okay, this one doesn't work. Let's try something else.
I can typically, man, this is a good topic because I can typically tell you within 90 days, I'm like, we don't need to do this, or we need to revamp this, or we need to do, honestly, sometimes even sooner. A lot of times it's the offer, when it comes to digital or e-commerce, it's the owner that says, no, you suck. It's this. It's like, dude, the clicks are good. No one's coming to the offer. You're not reaching them on email. Your sales process is broken. There's so many other things we need to, I'm big on telling people we need to spend back and fix these little issues, because that's where the problem is going to happen, right? Because at the end of the day, the reality of life, and no one wants to hear this, but it's true. We all sell the same stuff, whether it's trinkets and trash, or it's business opportunity seekers, or it's how to do real estate, or it's how to feel better, or it's how to lose weight. No one's coming at you with like, even Tesla just got copied by Nikola, and they don't even have a car and they're already like making almost as much money as Tesla. Like you can copy people's stuff now, right? Like it just is the same thing. So the problem is in the process more than the product oftentimes, or the problem is in the person more than the product a lot of times. And so that's why, we kind of do the month-to-month thing and go, listen, if this is working, I want to do a review in 3 months, because I'm big also on cutting the losses so we can have good reputation and be like, listen, if this didn't work, I'll introduce you to other people. because it's more so that like you are wanting to fix like that one issue, that ads issue. You're not trying to fix that your offer needs a new video sales letter, or you might have to invest in that if you don't know how to write it, or the fact that your sales process is broken and you don't want to take your own calls anymore because you're better than that. There's a lot of these things that are what the process is going to like show. It's going to show you, man, like all these things will show you what's messed up. It's kind of up to us and our ego or determination to make the choice of like, I think you're right, man, we need to do this. Let's hire someone for sales that's better than us, or let's go pay a really expensive copywriter guy and see if we can get some sort of commitment from that and have success on a sales page because I wrote it myself and I'm not a copywriter, and different things like that. So we try to stay on track with weekly calls and monthly meetings, but if you're spending money and you're not getting returns, and it's been over a month and a half, I mean, that something should have already drastically had to change. And if it's not ads, it has to be a lot of the other things. You have to look at all the variables. And if I can get one thing out just to keep stressing this, is like, there's a lot of variables. And, we get inundated. There's a lot of expert marketers that are watching this, because I know the relationships that you and I have in the space, but there's a lot of people that are also beginning this journey, and they get inundated with like money. I did this, and they probably did, or maybe even didn't. But the bigger thing isn't so much the money for the day, it's how is this growing as a company, right? Yeah. Like, where there are other points, right? Like, if you just kept growing people and getting clients and you didn't have a good fulfillment process and you didn't have some good sales guys, you're going to break, the business is going to break, and then you're going to be like, why the business break? Because there's other variables in the business, right? Like, yeah. I really want people to start thinking that they're growing businesses more than offers, because I mean, you and I also know a million people in the space that this year they're like, boom, next year they're bam, then they're doing this new thing, then they got another offer, and they never say like, I started a company. They go, I got this new offer, we're doing this and this and this. Dude, your mindset is just like that of like, just trying to spark stuff like every second of the day, instead of trying to fix the little things you have and make really, really long-standing companies that you can even replace yourself from.
Yeah. Well, I think, that hits on something really big, Easy Pay Direct definitely sees the aggressive marketers come through that just churn through offers, and they literally are offers. They're not trying to create a business. They spin things up really quickly. They spike revenue. And honestly, we try not to work with them because they also have high chargebacks. They burn
massive
merchant accounts.
Refunds.
Yeah, they are a problem. And then merchant accounts become a sticking point, which is like, look, if merchant accounts are the center of your reality as a marketer, you're doing it wrong, right? You need to tweak things so that people like the product that you're selling them enough that they don't dispute it. Now, everybody's going to get disputes, and that's not a universal statement, but by and large, you want people to like what you buy. But I think that one of the things that highlights is that even if you're building a company and you're very focused on that, and that, you have all of these things to manage all the time. And inside the silo of just marketing, even if you're a good marketer, bringing somebody in that has done that many times over is going to give visibility to the things that have to be tweaked. And you're looking at the broad picture as the entrepreneur, as the owner of, hey, we've got to work on our product, we've got to work on our hiring, on our culture, et cetera, our tech systems. Inside the world of marketing, somebody that's good, that has spun up a bunch of companies over and over and over, can say, okay, but the copy inside of this portion, inside of the OTO, right? Or the way that you're talking in the video, or hey, we're missing a number in the back end. We need to sell a different product in the back end, and that's going to help us make the numbers make sense. Whatever those things are, you may not be aware of as the entrepreneur. And so having an expert that's focused on marketing is super valuable, I think, for that reason. My experience, at least with I think it's probably 5 to 8 that we've seen you take really big, really quickly. Certainly that's the case, where it was like, coming into the introduction with you, they were doing $500,000 a year. And then all of a sudden you made the numbers work because you added something to the equation that they were not seeing, that allowed them to go to 300, 400, 500, 600, 700 grand a month really quickly. And that's what it was. It was seeing the thing that they couldn't see.
Yeah.
So I think that that's a really good takeaway for people. You talk to me about um, the difference, if there is one, between the audience on Facebook versus Instagram, and what you're selling to people on Instagram versus Facebook. I know you've worked on building your personal brand in the last several months. How do
Yeah.
those vary?
So I'll tell you two things, and I'll even add Google. So on Facebook and Instagram, you're going to see older people on Facebook, younger people on Instagram. If you're running a personal brand, I really think you need to put a lot of time into your Instagram, because you get these harder to track conversations of you running media, either to Messenger or to Insta. Facebook is equivalent. Instagram is the equivalent of Google search for Facebook, right? Because people go like, oh, who is this dude? And they'll Instagram you, and then they'll follow you. Then you get to know, like, trust them. You can retarget them, send them a bunch of different things, right? So they're all very congruent. For e-commerce, they both work really, really well. For higher ticket brands, personal brands, education, marketing type of people, we're seeing ridiculous success on YouTube. We're seeing a more qualified person for applications, way better person. And I think it's because of the modality of engagement. On Facebook, I got to be like, hey, check this out. Got 10 seconds. Boom, you're out. Like, check on my thing. YouTube forces you to make a video. So the video, you can't use that quick fly-by-night, swipe up, check this. No one cares. And you're either going to get skipped, or if you're not. If you're not, they're going to watch your video. They're also going to follow you, but you can do the whole retargeting sequence again. But this is why content is starting to become really important in anything you do, and in all platforms, because now everyone and their mom sells, like I said, the same thing, but with content and relationships and all of that is how people start to get to know you, like you, and trust you. We've seen a lot of our higher ticket engagements. People are like, dude, I've been following you for 6 months, and I remember this video. And I'm like, damn, I don't remember making that video, right? But yeah, like, Google has more qualified people if you're making good content. If you're just throwing Google ads out there, I think you'll have a harder time to get conversions on those people, because they have nowhere to find you and engage with you again. And if you want a quicker hit, I would go to Instagram and Facebook. If you want to start anything on e-commerce, I would start on Instagram and Facebook, because it's going to be more affordable, and it's an easier platform for you to learn. And just one more thing there, just to like help people, a lot of people that come to us with like a page and like a product. The first thing we do is we build bundles, so we can increase average order value for people in e-commerce. And then we still have a few different upsells using the apps, Zipify or Shogun, which are two different just page builder applications that you can use inside of that. And then for people that are trying to run more personal brand stuff, I want to try to give them as much as we can knowledge wise. For people that are running personal brand stuff, if you're just getting started, I would start with driving people to applications. The reason is because webinars and small VSLs, the conversion is going to be harder. You're going to have to get them through email marketing. And if you can't make a really good VSL, the odds are you're not an email genius either. And so it's better to just go like as high ticket as you can, and then just kind of keep sending some content on that, and take people to Instagram or Messenger and have a VA build conversations with people like that. That should get you to like your first 100,000 a month. And once you have that, then you can try to build an offer with paid media. And the last thing I'll say with that is, just because you're making 100,000 a month or 2 or 3 organically does not mean that you can run paid ads and it'll work the same way. No one in the world knows you here. And this one is like a circle of people that know, like, and trust you. So this is like your best people. So if you're crushing it, that's cool. You're crushing it to like a circle of friends almost. And you want to now be like, yeah, and then let me just Tony Robbins this thing and see how it works. It won't. So the odds of you having a lack of success are pretty good, because no one knows who you are and you're asking for scale quick. Again, because you probably saw someone miseducate you online.
Yeah. So just to clarify, when you said go big with the offer on the front end, do you mean that you're running a webinar or VSL straight to a high ticket purchase? And then
we run a VSL. We call it a silo funnel. It's just a simple inline offer that addresses the problem, then shows them you have the solution, and the line is just like, this is how we're going to exactly show you what we did to solve for that.
I love it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love
because
it.
webinars take a little bit more to convert as well. People don't have that attention span. Webinars, I think they're great. They work. We build webinars for people even, but we build them for the back end. We don't start with people on the front end because you need to be more seasoned nowadays to do the certain things. There's a million ways you can make money. There's, I think, a certain specific path, like you were saying, that like I guide people through on how to make money in certain financial times that you or your business may be at.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what you do varies wildly by where you are in the life cycle of your business, whether you're at the
Mm-hmm.
500,000 a year versus the 5 million a year. Cool. Well, I think that there's definitely a few actionable things there. While I've got you, we might as well talk about, the big pink elephant in the room, which unfortunately is not good beer in this case, but is a rabid disease and virus that's sweeping the nation and the world. How are things different with COVID right now? How has advertising changed and e-commerce in general changed in the days of the lockdown pandemic?
There's more people on the internet, man. It's going better for us. All of our clients right now are freaking thriving. Like I'm saying, like we do like a review every day. Like we talk about client wins before we start our own wins. And this month is just, we're talking in this particular side. We're talking about July, dude. Everyone's ripping it. Like we're crushing right now. It's amazing. And it's because, unfortunately, COVID is a thing. But if you're ready to advertise right now, people are on their computers, e-commerce is going up, people are, losing their jobs. So if you want to teach people how to make more money, or you have a product or service that supports people making more money from brick and mortar to online, or just online, how to jump online at the beginning, those things are crushing as well. So I think you got to lose the fear of advertising, and this is a time to go all in. I think personally, we've doubled since COVID. We've doubled the agency size. We are launching a new division for coaching, which we're actually building offices. We're going to be building offices. It's going to be kind of like starting off not local, but then we're actually going to do the offices in Austin.
Nice.
I want to kind of keep this office as is and build everything separate, just because like this is just for this goal, that's just for that goal. And we're adding a lot more of team members that are, just outside of any space, just any Ukraine to Atlanta to whatever, right? Because the skill sets are there, and you can acquire a lot of more better people now that want to work from home and don't want to, walk into an office, which is kind of like a new thing for us. We're very culture based and stuff like that. So I'm testing these new things out, and it's working. And so I'm stoked, man. I think it's, stay healthy, stay safe, biohack, ask Brad Howe, because he's a master at it. That's who I hit up for those things. But it's time to spend money on ads. It's time to put anything. If you can get a loan, I would get a loan for running stuff online, man. The only reason I was looking for extra loans was just to spend more money. We don't even need it, but I was like, shit, man, if I can get more money to put out on the marketplace, it's the best time. And because there's people that are going forward, and then there's people that are scared, and the people that are scared are not going to be here. I don't even think this is the bad time. I think we're going to hit a recession, and I think that's going to be the bad time. And if you're not thriving now, you're in serious trouble.
Yeah. Obviously excluding owning a retail business at the moment.
Right.
Right. If you're an e-com.
Right.
Yeah. That's good. And I would encourage you to set up shop in Austin. It's a good town.
As soon as I can see human beings and jump on a flight, I'm going out there. I got to introduce you to my partner on the coaching business. He lives in Austin, so you guys can start jamming.
Love it.
Yeah, man, I'm excited to do something in Austin. It's a great reason to go. It's a quick flight for me. And just, I've always wanted, I don't know why, but I've always wanted to like have multiple offices and stuff. And I didn't want to build one in LA because it's just too expensive.
Totally. Yeah. Austin's great for that, man. I'm happy to help however I can there.
Yeah, man. I appreciate it.
Well, you said something really good that I want to highlight, which I took note on, which is that you focus on your client wins before you focus on your team wins when you review things in the morning. And I think that's just like it's hugely telling of where your focus is as a leader, as an owner. And also just a really good reminder for anybody else. Like internally, we talk about the client experience, and everything that we do has grown to be focused around the client experience. You know, if somebody says, well, why do I do it this way? The answer is, if you think there's a better way to do it, then give us the better way. But it has nothing to do with you. It has to do with
Right.
how it impacts the client, right?
Yeah.
And so are you doing the thing that's going to impact the client and give them the feeling and the experience that we want them to have, right? That they expect or
Right.
beyond. But I love that. Cool, man. Well, I appreciate you spending some time to talk. Where can people find you if they want to learn more about Los Hustle and SDG?
I'll just take you to Instagram. Just go to @LosHustle on Instagram and hit me up and let's talk. Happy to help and, see if we can help anybody or just answer questions. I'm always on there. So you might, if you see a thing with 4 questionnaires, that might be a bot. But other than that, I'll jump on and I'll say what's up.
Love it, man. Well, I appreciate you carving out time. Definitely stuff that our client base needs to hear. And you wouldn't be here if you didn't have a lot of supporting evidence to back it up. So I'm excited
Thanks,
to be
man.
able to show some more people your stuff.
I appreciate you, bro. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, man. We'll catch up soon.